Good morning, Miss Renee. It's Monday morning. How are you?
I'm good. Good morning, Vicki. How are you?
Well, I'm good now that I've gotten through the road trip from hell yesterday. We had a heck of a snowstorm. It was just awful from Quesnel all the way through to almost Cache Creek before it ended. So it was a very long day and a very stressful trip. But the good news is we made it. So that's what you get for doing an impromptu trip, oh no, that's fine. We'll go. And we had a friend up in Quesnel that needed some help. So we thought, well, not a problem. We'll go up and help her. So we did. Saturday was fabulous. Yesterday, it's like, okay, what happened to our world?
Oh, no. Yeah. Well, at least you're home safe. Yes.
Yes, exactly. Not a problem. So what are we going to talk about today? We decided that we were going to talk about the shock of retirement and what retirement is really like.
Yes, and actually what our expectations of retirement are. Because I know mine were quite different than what is becoming reality.
Exactly, and so was mine. So let's talk about what happened to each of us. And if anybody is out there that has a comment or a question, or share with us what you think yours is like or isn't, let us know. So for me, my husband, for some unknown reason, for a man that has made the kind of money that he made in his life, how he could be so naive about retirement is more than I'll know. He said, well, no, Vicki, we've got everything paid for, so we'll just live on our old age pension. I said, what planet are you living on? Like, are you forgetting about all these little toys that we have that need to be insured? And how about the cost of groceries? And anyway, I was threatening him with a rolling pin regularly. So what was yours like?
Well, I'm a little bit younger than my husband, and my husband always worked overseas, and I always had this dream that I'm going to retire at 65, and if I really had a good dream, I'd retire at 55. I always wanted that freedom 55. When my husband turned 60, even though we've always saved money, but when he turned 60, the company he worked for overseas said, congratulations, you're now retired. The problem is you don't get your retirement until you're 65. So there's 5 years that you're going to spend your savings.
Yeah.
And it was quite a shock because all of a sudden we had this dream that when we retire, we're going to have a motorhome, we're going to travel, we're going to spend time with our grandchildren, we're going to have all the toys. Because for both of us, we never took any time really for ourselves in our mature lives of gaining a house and raising children and everything else. We always worked extra and long hours and spent some time apart to try and get some growth at a young age. But then when we decided, okay, we're going to retire, so then we got the motorhome. Well, that was great. House is paid for. But now we found out the house insurance, the motorhome insurance, the motorbike insurance. I must add 3 because my husband has it's his toys. So 3 motorbike insurance, a truck insurance, a Jeep insurance. And all of a sudden we're like, wow, how do you live the way that you always dreamt you were going to live without selling some of those toys to pay for the other parts that go with those toys? That was quite a shock.
Yeah, for sure. I so hear you. We had a lake property on Horsefly Lake. And what we found then is, so now we're retired and these things are paid for, but it's $3,600 a year for insurance. It's equal for property taxes. And like you say, that's not counting the vehicles. We also had a motorhome, which we don't anymore. And all of these things, if you add them up per month, and which I did, by the way, and I showed that to my ding-a-ling husband, who is also a bit older than me. And I said, no, you're going to pay this with your OAP? Really? It's not hard to see why so many seniors are living below the poverty level. And we aren't sick. I don't think you or your husband are either, right? Like, you don't have medical bills to pay or medications.
Well, we don't, but I do help because my mom is still with us and she lives in assisted living.
Yeah.
So my mom has a nice pension because she was a nurse. And my stepdad had a great pension that my mom receives because he's passed as an engineer. So she receives actually between the two, you know, a pretty good amount. But the thing is with her assisted living, it does not cover her room and her board. Yeah. So my husband and I top it up. And Netflix, we get her Netflix, iPad, TV, so any of the extras, but even her prescriptions, because she does have some illnesses. So her prescriptions are quite expensive, but her deductible is $500. So every January, she starts to have to pay this deductible. And I have threatened my children that they need to figure out a way to top up their income, because I have found a way and they should be grateful, because if I didn't top up my income somehow by finding this online business, then I would have to move into their basement.
Good threat. Good threat. Perfect. Well, you know, I think it's kind of a culture shock for a lot of us when we get here and you realize that it's not just about having things paid for. No. Because then, you know, I went and bought groceries the other day and I go, how do young families do this? There's only two of us and we don't eat that much in spite of my size. We don't. And how do they do it? You know, my grandson, he's like a horse. It's in one end and out the other, you know, he's like, and there's no end to the amount. So, you know, when you think about that, the cost of groceries alone is ridiculous. And that's not counting. And, you know, I used to wonder how on earth could these senior homes charge so much for people? Well, try without. You know, per month is a lot more than it is in a senior's home. So, you know, well, it's relative, right?
Without nursing care, so where my mom is, there's no nursing care.
Yeah.
And it's $3,400 a month.
Yeah.
And not a lot of people get that. So yes, your family tops it up. And that wasn't including even, we did have, our father-in-law was there too. And when we were away, he became ill. So we hired a nurse. Minimum is 1 hour in the morning and 1 hour in the evening to help him until we got back. This was a few years ago. And that was $42 an hour. So that cost us $84 a day.
Yeah.
Make sure he was looked after in the morning and the nighttime so we could get back to Kelowna.
Yeah. It's so, you know, it's like, yeah, it's a bit of a culture shock. And so you and I are very grateful that we found this business to assist in our retirement, to say nothing about planning for retirement. But lots of people don't. And so I think we both are encouraging people to take a look and find something and or talk to us, because it's a bit of it's different than you may think it is.
And with you and I, we both had our homes and everything paid for.
Yes, we did. Yeah.
But I don't think we all realize to keep that exciting lifestyle of retirement, the rah-rah, and not having to sell some to get more.
Yes, exactly.
This was a perfect business. I can travel with this laptop whenever the borders open.
Well, you know what? I just spent the night in a really nice hotel room. Was nice and clean. The bed was good, and I couldn't sleep. So I'm probably not traveling anytime soon unless I get my own bed again. And so that means I've got one of these hydraulic beds, you know, that lift your top up for better breathing. I tell you what, I'm so hooked on that bed, and you can't take the thing with you.
That would be difficult. Yeah,
I know. It's a lift bed, you know. It's awesome.
Well, and there's another thing that costs money, because when we get older, our bodies seem to
you have to make it so that you work. Otherwise, you don't. You hurt. Oh, well. Anyway, that's probably all we need to blab about for today. What do you think?
I think that's great. But if anybody has any questions or gives us some more ideas of things we probably didn't think of either, it's pretty interesting. But I'm glad we found this business. And Vicki, I'm really glad I found you because I'd never met you
glad I
before
found
this
you.
business.
I know. We're a match made in heaven. I just know it. Anyway, thank you, Renee. Have a great day.
Thank you, Vicki. You too. Talk to you soon.
Bye.
Bye.